Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the intriguing possibility of Portia Robinson facing a shocking paternity twist that could reshape her entire world. In the bustling world of Port Charles, where secrets simmer just below the surface, Portia Robinson appears poised for a dramatic revelation that might involve a surprise pregnancy. According to the latest General Hospital previews, Portia is on the verge of receiving news that promises to upend her life completely. Imagine her standing there, holding a pregnancy test that glows with a positive result, her mind racing with a whirlwind of emotions. This unexpected development could stem from her recent encounters, forcing her to confront questions about who the father might be. Could it be the enigmatic Isaiah Gannon, her newest romantic interest, or her estranged husband, Curtis Ashford? The tension is palpable as Portia grapples with this life-altering surprise, perhaps staring at the test in disbelief while the weight of impending motherhood settles in. Adding to the intrigue, whispers from the set suggest Portia might initially dismiss the symptoms as stress from her demanding job at the hospital, only to have a routine checkup confirm her suspicions in the most unforeseen way. Delving deeper into the timeline, it's worth recalling that Curtis and Portia shared a fleeting moment of reconciliation back in August, a passionate night that rekindled old flames and led them straight to the bedroom. This intimate reunion, filled with lingering glances and heartfelt conversations under the dim lights of their shared home, could very well be the origin of this potential bundle of joy. If Curtis turns out to be the biological father, it might ignite a spark in Portia to salvage their crumbling marriage, pushing her to fight tooth and nail for a second chance at happiness. Picture Portia envisioning family dinners and holidays together, using this baby as a bridge to mend the rifts caused by past betrayals. Yet, beneath the surface, their relationship has grown stale, like a storyline that's looped one too many times, leaving many devoted GH viewers yearning for something more exhilarating. Fans have voiced their fatigue online, craving plotlines that break free from the predictable cycles of makeups and breakups, perhaps even rooting for Portia to explore uncharted territories in her personal life. Shifting gears, the showrunners might be steering Portia toward a bolder narrative by positioning Isaiah as the father, injecting fresh energy into her arc. This twist would not only revitalize her storyline, but also create layers of complexity, as it ties her permanently to Isaiah, her clandestine lover, in ways neither anticipated. Their budding romance, sparked during late-night shifts at the hospital and stolen moments in quiet corners, has been shrouded in secrecy to protect Isaiah's burgeoning career as a dedicated physician. The drama escalates if a baby enters the equation, forcing them to navigate the choppy waters of public scrutiny while trying to maintain discretion. Isaiah, with his sharp intellect and compassionate demeanor, has made it clear he wants to keep their affair off the radar, perhaps confiding in a close friend about his fears of professional repercussions. But a pregnancy could shatter that veil, compelling tough decisions like whether to go public or find creative ways to co-parent in the shadows, all while Portia balances her roles as a doctor, mother, and now expectant partner. As the initial shock wears off, Portia could find herself warming to the idea of welcoming a new sibling for her daughter, Trina Robinson, embracing this fresh chapter of motherhood with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Envision her daydreaming about nursery designs, picking out tiny outfits, and sharing the news with Trina in a heartfelt mother-daughter moment that strengthens their bond. However, anxiety might creep in regarding Isaiah's reaction, especially since their relationship is still in its infancy, built on flirtatious banter and mutual respect rather than long-term commitments. What if he feels overwhelmed by the sudden responsibility? Portia might rehearse conversations in her mind, pacing her living room late at night, wondering how to break the news without derailing their fragile connection. To add a touch of realism, perhaps she'll confide in a trusted colleague at the hospital, seeking advice on timing the revelation, all while juggling her professional duties and the emotional roller coaster. Thankfully, Isaiah has consistently shown himself to be a stand-up individual, the kind of man who steps up in crises with grace and integrity, giving no indication he'd respond harshly to such news. In fact, he might surprise Portia with an unexpectedly enthusiastic embrace of fatherhood, his eyes lighting up at the prospect of building a family. Remember that poignant scene where Lucky Spencer gifted him a cozy cabin on his way out of town? Isaiah mused aloud about one day handing it down to his own children, painting vivid pictures of future generations enjoying its rustic charm, family barbecues by the lake, holiday gatherings filled with laughter, and quiet evenings sharing stories. This offhand comment reveals his openness to parenthood, even if the timing catches him off guard, perhaps prompting him to start planning renovations to the cabin to make it baby-friendly, like adding safety features and a nursery nook. Of course, Portia's history adds another layer of suspense as she truly learned from the paternity deception involving Trina, where lies spiraled into years of heartache. If old habits die hard, she might resort to fabricating the truth about the baby's father, weaving a web of misinformation that only complicates matters further. Imagine the fallout, whispered suspicions among friends, strained family dynamics, and the eventual unraveling that could mirror her past mistakes, but with higher stakes. This choice might stem from a place of fear, protecting her heart or career, but it risks alienating those closest to her, including Trina, who has already endured enough emotional turmoil. The writers could explore this through intense confrontations, therapy sessions, or even legal consultations, highlighting themes of honesty and redemption in Port Charles. No matter how it unfolds, ABC General Hospital spoilers hint at a storm of pregnancy-related chaos descending upon Portia, promising episodes brimming with emotional highs and lows, from doctor appointments revealing ultrasound surprises, to heated discussions about co-parenting arrangements. The ripple effects could touch every corner of her life, drawing in allies and adversaries alike. Stay tuned as this storyline develops, potentially introducing new characters like a supportive midwife or a nosy relative who stumbles upon the secret, adding even more twists to the mix. What do you think? Will Portia choose transparency this time, or will history repeat itself? Next, we will learn about the explosive confrontation where Ava Jerome steps in to rescue Alexis Davis from a vengeful Rick Lansing fresh out of his basement captivity. In the shadowy underbelly of Port Charles, where alliances shift like quicksand, ABC General Hospital spoilers are buzzing with the news that Ava Jerome emerges as an unlikely savior for Alexis Davis, thwarting a dangerous escape by the enraged Rick Lansing from his improvised underground prison. This twist of fate marks a rare moment where Ava, often the architect of chaos, lends a hand to the beleaguered Davis clan, setting the stage for some truly captivating developments. Picture the scene unfolding in Alexis's dimly lit home, the air thick with tension as Rick bursts free, his eyes blazing with pent-up fury. The previews suggest this intervention could redefine relationships, perhaps even forging new bonds amid the debris of old grudges. Adding to the intrigue, insiders hint that Ava's timely arrival might stem from a cryptic tip-off, maybe an anonymous call or a overheard whisper at the gallery, pulling her into the fray just as things heat up. As fans dissect this plot pivot, it's clear the writers are weaving in layers of redemption for Ava, transforming her from villain to vigilante in a heartbeat, all while keeping viewers on the edge of their seats with the promise of more unexpected turns. Diving into Rick's cunning breakout, it's revealed that he's been slyly avoiding his sedating medications, pocketing them instead of swallowing, building up his strength for a calculated strike against Alexis, who shares a complicated history as the mother of his child. This deceptive tactic, executed with the precision of a seasoned lawyer turned captive, leaves him alert and primed for payback, his mind sharpened by days of isolation rather than dulled by drugs. Envision Rick in that dank basement, practicing his moves in the dim light, muttering vows of retribution under his breath as he plots his escape through a weakened lock or a forgotten vent. The spoilers paint a vivid picture of his emergence, disheveled yet determined, driven by a mix of betrayal and paternal instincts gone awry. To flesh out the drama, perhaps Rick leaves behind clues of his ruse, discarded pill fragments scattered like breadcrumbs hinting at his growing instability and foreshadowing the chaos to come, all while underscoring the theme of unchecked anger in Port Charles's tangled web of family ties. The assault takes a chilling turn as Rick wields the infamous dagger, responsible for the death of Alexis's own mother, a weapon that mysteriously ended up in her possession courtesy of the shadowy figure Jen Sidwell. This macabre choice amplifies the terror, with Alexis recoiling in horror at the sight of the blade that once shattered her world, now glinting threateningly in Rick's grasp. The irony hits hard, as the very instrument of past tragedy circles back to haunt her present, perhaps triggering flashbacks of that fateful night amid the current standoff. Spoilers suggest Rick corners her in the living room, the dagger pressed close but not fatally, his voice a low growl recounting grievances from their stormy past. To heighten the stakes, imagine Alexis's hands trembling as she tries to reason with him, the room filled with the scent of fear and old regrets, while outside, the night deepens, isolating them in this personal nightmare. This element adds a poetic darkness to the episode, blending horror with emotional depth, and could include subtle nods to Alexis's legal background as she attempts to de-escalate, using words instead of force. Despite his rage, Rick's intentions stop short of murder, as taking Alexis's life would devastate their shared daughter, Molly Lansing Davis, whom he holds dear even in his unhinged state. He's portrayed as a man teetering on the edge, furious from his ordeal in the basement dungeon that felt like a never-ending horror show, complete with creaking pipes and flickering shadows that amplified his paranoia. Anything could tip the scales: a sudden noise, a misinterpreted word given his trembling grip on the dagger, and a mind frayed by confinement and medication withdrawal. Expanding on this, perhaps flashbacks intercut the scene, showing Rick's descent into madness during captivity, hallucinating conversations with Molly or replaying arguments with Alexis, building sympathy for his fractured psyche while ramping up the unpredictability. The spoilers tease that this volatility makes every moment electric, with viewers wondering if his restraint will hold or if impulse will lead to irreversible harm, all tied to the overarching narrative of flawed parents navigating explosive family dynamics. Just as the situation spirals toward disaster, Ava materializes out of nowhere, intervening with perfect timing to halt Rick's advance and protect Alexis from further harm. Who could have predicted that Ava, with her history of sowing discord in the Davis family through schemes and manipulations, would flip the script to become their guardian angel in this dire hour? This heroic pivot comes as a shock, perhaps fueled by a recent thaw in tensions, like a shared glance of understanding at a mutual event or a quiet acknowledgement of past pains. To enrich the moment, envision Ava bursting through the door with the improvised weapon, a heavy vase or her sharp wit, catching Rick off guard and turning the tide in an instant. The irony of Ava's redemption arc shines here, as she channels her cunning for good, maybe even quipping a line about old habits dying hard while disarming the threat, adding a dash of dark humor to the high-stakes rescue. This act of salvation highlights the budding alliance between Alexis, Ava, and Christina Corinthos Davis, who have unexpectedly banded together as a makeshift support network amid their shared trials. We'll witness this trio in full force, pooling their strengths to contain the crisis and reaffirm their fragile unity. Spoilers indicate that after subduing Rick perhaps with a well-aimed blow that sends him crumpling to the floor, they escort him back to his basement confines, where his sentence might be extended as punishment for the escape. To add depth, imagine the women exchanging knowing nods, their bond solidified in the aftermath, with Christina arriving just in time to assist, bringing her own fierce protectiveness to the mix. This could include improvised restraints or a hurried discussion on securing the space better, like adding reinforced locks or surveillance, emphasizing their resourcefulness in the face of danger. In a scene that's sure to delight fans, Ava betrays her wartime accomplice Rick, morphing into an improbable superhero who swoops in to save the day and restore order. This reversal underscores the fluid nature of loyalties in Port Charles, where yesterday's enemy becomes today's ally. Building on this, perhaps the episode features dramatic slow-motion shots of Ava's intervention, her elegant attire contrasting with the gritty confrontation, symbolizing her evolution from schemer to savior. The spoilers promise juicy developments as Ava, Alexis, and Christina huddle to plot their next moves post-escape, maybe over steaming mugs of coffee and bowls of popcorn in Alexis's kitchen, dissecting Rick's twisted motivations and brainstorming ways to ensure he stays put. Envision them mapping out strategies on a notepad, laughing nervously at the absurdity while steeling themselves for potential repercussions, like involving authorities or seeking therapy for the trauma. Juicy ABC General Hospital spoilers continue to unfold, suggesting this strategic powwow will lead to even more riveting updates, and we'll keep you posted on every twist as they emerge. From potential legal fallout for Rick to the strengthening of this unlikely sisterhood, the ripple effects could reshape alliances across town. What are your thoughts on Ava's heroic turn, redemption, or just another ploy? Next, we will learn about the fiery storm brewing as Carly Spencer unleashes her fury over S. Vaughn's secret role in the WSP, setting off a chain of revelations that could shatter her world. In the high-stakes arena of Port Charles, where hidden agendas lurk around every corner, ABC General Hospital spoilers are igniting with hints that Carly Spencer is about to explode. Upon discovering S. Vaughn's covert position within the World Security Bureau, you can almost feel the heat rising as Carly storms into a confrontation with Jack Brennan, accusing him of recklessly allowing her daughter Jocelyn Jax to get romantically entangled with a full-fledged agent, blissfully unaware that Jocelyn herself harbors the same shadowy affiliation. This bombshell promises to peel back layers of deception, perhaps unfolding in a tense showdown at Brennan's sleek office, where Carly's maternal instincts clash with the cold realities of espionage. To amp up the drama, imagine Carly stumbling upon classified documents or overhearing a coded phone call that tips her off, her face flushing with a mix of betrayal and disbelief as the pieces start to fall into place. The writers seem poised to explore how this revelation tests Carly's trust in those closest to her, weaving in flashbacks of Jocelyn's seemingly innocent college life that now take on a sinister undertone, all while building toward an emotional powder keg that fans won't want to miss. Recapping the recent shake-up, GH enthusiasts will recall how Colette Moreau was unmasked as a treacherous mole and swiftly dispatched from the scene, creating a gaping void in Brennan's operational hierarchy that demanded an immediate replacement. Stepping into the spotlight, Brennan elevates Vaughn to the pivotal role of deputy station chief, a promotion that underscores his proven loyalty and sharp tactical acumen honed over years of undercover work. With Colette's exit, the dynamics shift dramatically, perhaps involving a hurried ceremony in a secure WSB briefing room, complete with encrypted files and stern nods of approval from higher-ups, adding inventive flair. Spoilers suggest Vaughn might receive a symbolic token of his new status like a custom-etched badge, or a encrypted communicator sign his ascent from the shadows into a more visible command position. This move not only stabilizes Brennan's team, but also sets the stage for ripple effects across Port Charles, as Vaughn's elevated profile intersects with personal lives in unexpected ways, hinting at future missions that could entangle more familiar faces in the web of international intrigue. Now that Vaughn's days of deep cover are behind him, Brennan has no intention of shrouding his agent's true identity any longer, opting for transparency that could expose vulnerabilities in their tightly knit operations. This bold decision might stem from a strategic review, where Brennan weighs the risks of secrecy against the benefits of an open chain of command, perhaps consulting with WSB brass via secure video links from his Port Charles base. Envision a scene where Brennan briefs Vaughn on his new responsibilities, the two sharing a moment of camaraderie over strong coffee, discussing how this change allows for more direct involvement in high-profile cases, without the constant veil of pretense. To expand the narrative, perhaps this openness leads to Vaughn adopting a more polished public persona, trading his maintenance worker disguise for tailored suits and confident strides through town, subtly altering how residents perceive him and planting seeds for future alliances or rivalries. The spoilers tease that this shift will ripple outward, forcing characters like Carly to confront the blurred lines between everyday life and the clandestine world of spies, amplifying the tension in Port Charles's already volatile social landscape. There's little doubt that Carly will soon uncover the truth about who has stepped into Colette's shoes, triggering a monumental meltdown as the reality sinks in and shatters her preconceptions. The moment of discovery could play out like a classic soap opera cliffhanger, with Carly bursting into a room mid-conversation, her eyes widening at the sight of Vaughn in official WSB attire, surrounded by maps and gadgets. Building on this, imagine her initial confusion giving way to a torrent of questions, her voice echoing through the space as she pieces together the deception that has been unfolding right under her nose. Spoilers indicate this freakout will be raw and unfiltered, perhaps involving Carly pacing furiously, her mind racing through memories of Jocelyn's dates with Vaughn, now tainted by the knowledge of his true profession. This revelation serves as a catalyst for deeper explorations of trust and protection, with Carly's protective nature clashing against the unforgiving demands of Secret Service life, promising episodes filled with heated arguments and soul-searching monologues. Upon Jocelyn's return home, she'll go to great lengths to maintain her fabricated cover story, weaving tales of reflection and growth to convince her mother that she's moving on from the relationship. Jocelyn might describe her time away as a soul-searching retreat, perhaps claiming hikes in secluded woods or quiet journaling sessions that helped her gain perspective on her romantic choices. To add layers, envision a heartfelt kitchen conversation where Jocelyn reassures Carly with fabricated details, like deleting Vaughn's number from her phone or focusing on her studies at PCU, all while hiding the adrenaline-fueled reality of her own WSB involvement. The spoilers suggest Jocelyn will emphasize her readiness to leave Vaughn behind, painting a picture of closure that temporarily eases Carly's worries, but with an undercurrent of tension as Jocelyn bites her lip, struggling to keep her double life under wraps. This subterfuge highlights the generational strains in the Spencer family, as Jocelyn navigates the dangers of her secret world while yearning for her mother's approval. Carly might breathe a sigh of relief hearing Jocelyn's assurances, especially given her prior unease about her daughter dating an older man who once stirred up rivalry, with Emma Scorpio Drake in a web of jealousy and competition. Recalling those tense encounters, Carly could reflect on how Vaughn's presence seemed to exacerbate youthful dramas, like heated arguments at campus events or whispered gossip among friends, that left Jocelyn emotionally bruised. Expanding creatively, perhaps Carly shares a maternal anecdote from her own past, drawing parallels to warn Jocelyn about the pitfalls of mismatched romances, all while unknowingly critiquing a man far more complex than she realizes. The spoilers point to Carly's apprehension rooted in protective instincts, viewing Vaughn as a disruptive force that pitted Jocelyn against her peers, and this relief at the supposed breakup could lull her into a false sense of security before the bigger truths emerge. Yet, Carly's image of Vaughn as a mere maintenance worker from Port Charles University is about to be demolished, replaced by the shocking reality of his WSB ties that will hit her like a freight train. This misconception, built on casual sightings of him in work overalls fixing campus fixtures, contrasts sharply with his actual high-stakes existence, creating a delicious irony for viewers. Imagine the build-up, Carly spotting him in everyday scenarios, like repairing a leaky faucet or chatting with students, never suspecting the espionage beneath the surface. To heighten the drama, spoilers tease a gradual unveiling, perhaps through a chance encounter at a local diner where Vaughn slips up with a cryptic comment, planting seeds of doubt in Carly's mind that blossom into full-blown suspicion. It's not hard to picture Carly stumbling upon Vaughn in Brennan's office, thrown completely off balance by the sight and demanding immediate explanations from both men. The scene could unfold with Carly barging in unannounced, files scattering as she points accusingly, her voice rising in a crescendo of outrage. Brennan, ever the smooth operator, might calmly confess Vaughn's long-standing value to the WSB, detailing his contributions to past operations with vague allusions to thwarted threats and saved lives. Adding detail, perhaps Brennan gestures to a wall of commendations or pulls up a redacted dossier, reminding Carly of the necessities of secrecy in their line of work, all while trying to soothe her mounting anger with his trademark charm. Brennan could gently point out that operational secrets are sometimes essential for mission success, but Carly will remain seething, viewing his oversight in allowing Vaughn to date Jocelyn as a profound breach of trust. This fury might manifest in a barrage of accusations, Carly pacing the room and recounting how Brennan's decisions endangered her family, her words laced with the pain of repeated deceptions. To enrich the moment, envision Brennan attempting to de-escalate with a personal touch, like offering a reassuring hand on her shoulder, only for Carly to pull away, her eyes flashing with the sting of betrayal. The spoilers indicate this confrontation will expose cracks in their relationship, foreshadowing greater turmoil as Carly grapples with the implications of loving a man entrenched in a world of lies. Even if Vaughn insists his involvement with Jocelyn was merely a facet of his undercover assignment, and declares it firmly concluded, Carly's upset will linger, fueling her sense of violation. He might explain it away as a necessary ruse, detailing how the romance served to gather intel on campus threats. But Carly could counter with pointed questions about emotional collateral damage, creatively expanding. Perhaps Vaughn shows remorse through a sincere apology, his demeanor shifting from agent to regretful suitor, yet failing to fully appease Carly's protective rage. This exchange underscores themes of manipulation and aftermath, with Carly feeling the weight of how such deceptions ripple into personal lives. This perceived betrayal from Jack will cut deep for Carly, though she might eventually simmer down and grudgingly accept his justifications, paving the way for even greater devastation when the full truth emerges. The temporary reconciliation could involve a quiet evening walk, where Brennan vows greater transparency, lulling Carly into forgiveness. But the irony builds as her acceptance sets up the ultimate heartbreak. Spoilers hint at this fragile peace, only to shatter it with escalating secrets that test the limits of their bond. That acceptance will make the impending bombshell all the more catastrophic, as Carly inevitably uncovers that Jocelyn is also embedded in the WSB, leading to an absolute eruption of shock and anger. Imagine the reveal, Carly finding a hidden badge or overhearing a mission briefing, her world crumbling as she confronts Jocelyn in tears and fury. To add intensity, perhaps this discovery happens during a family gathering, amplifying the emotional fallout with witnesses to Carly's breakdown. The spoilers promise this will be a turning point, exposing the depths of deception within her own home. ABC General Hospital spoilers confirm that Carly and Brennan's romance is barreling toward a devastating split. So keep watching for the latest on this ill-fated pair's downward spiral. From whispered alliances to explosive confrontations, the fallout could redraw battle lines in Port Charles, involving figures like Sonny or Jason in the ensuing chaos. What do you predict for Carly's reaction to Jocelyn's sacerdotal meltdown or reluctant pride?